My name is Luis Azevedo. I'm chairman and CEO of BRVO. We are in Brazil exploring Luanga Project, which is a PGM nickel project in the Carajás belt.
Brilliant, Liz. So it's lovely to have you on board. Been quite keen to kind of get you to onto the platform for sure. Now, we've not met or spoken before, and I imagine there'll be parts of our audience who not kind of heard the story either. So can we just get a little bit of background on you? You know, what have you done before? What have you had success with?
Okay, well, 40 years in the business. I'm a geologist, which became a lawyer. I worked for companies as Western Mining for 11 years, entered as a trainee, and out as a director. I done Barrick for vice president Brazil for a couple of years, and then I formed this company called FFA Legal, which was one-stop law accounting financing firm, which helps a lot of juniors. In the past, what I done the Rio Verde project. It was a project brought by me. Basically, we listed in 2012. We sold the company 1 year later with 50% premium. I done also Avanco in Australia. We listed it in 2007. We built a mine in 2015. We sold the company in 2018 for $440 million with 20% premium, which is still a mark to be beaten.
Okay. So you've had success. so we've got to work out what you're trying to do here, right? You've made money for people, you've made money for yourself. Let's just try and understand. So how did you pick this asset up? What did you know when you picked it up? Because you didn't stake it. So when did you walk into it?
Well, that's a long story. This project was found in the Vale's background, it's Vale's ground by Barrick. We found an anomaly of PGM back 20 years ago, 1999, something like that, which I know. And I lost contact with the project. Later on, I developed the first mine in the Carajás belt, which is dominated by Vale. You know, probably the Salobo mine, the Sossego mine, the Armor mines, and nobody has done a mine over there. So basically, after sell the company in 2020, I was in Toronto, and Vale introduced Luanga back to me, and I didn't know that Luanga was the project anomaly that I saw many years ago, and they spent like $50 million over the project, but it doesn't fit in their portfolio, base metals and iron ore. And basically, they want someone that could develop the project, could do the same thing that we've done in Avanco, and that's how we started.
Okay, look, I mean, tell me this. We've seen a lot of PGM companies come through here, but not many success stories, not many instances where people have made money or, quite frankly, interested the market at all. But you seem to have, of looking at your share price, looking at enterprise value, looking at your market cap, you really have gone through the phases and creative value there. And that's also been in a COVID inflationary period. I've heard all the excuses from CEOs trying to do business in Brazil. So it's been hard to get equipment, hard to get people, hard to move people. So how have you managed to, I guess, win against all the odds?
Well, first about Brazil. A lot of people didn't have success in Brazil. I know that. But look, people don't understand. Brazil is not hard. There is infrastructure. There is a market. There is a lot of success coming out. But actually, it's very hard. You manage a project from Australia, from Toronto, from America into Brazil. That's one thing that I say that it's always one of big cause of failure. But in terms of Luanga, basically, we are here. In this company, we have 100 employees. Only 3 employees or directors do not speak the language. So we understand Brazil better than anyone. We've done this project in this area for 20 years almost that. So basically, this, I think, it gives us the confidence that we can do it. But what actually we saw, this is a remarkable project. Has a strike, has grade, is open pit, and in an area which lives, breathes of mining. Like I can say to you, it's easier to find a part for a filter for a mill in Paraupebas, 30 kilometers away from where I am, than it's from Belo Horizonte or São Paulo. So basically, all the engineer, all the workforce are here.
Okay, so be local, act local, think local. Okay. And let me just, before I kind of get into the asset itself, let me just try to understand the kind of from a corporate background, exactly what that kind of shareholding structure looks like when you walked in and what you kind of built up over that time, because you obviously raised a bit of money along the way. So who's in it?
Well, that's another thing unique in BRVO and Luanga. How many times have you seen BlackRock coming pre-IPO? They saw us. They saw the project value and they saw the management team value. That's one point. We have Tembo, a private equity, which is very successful in Brazil. They've done Aerocopper before and they've done many other opportunities, and they are technical people. Another thing very important in terms of this project and this team is that we are surrounded by people that saw our success and they want to be part of that. And another thing, we gave a lot of rewards to people to join us. Like, how many companies have you seen giving shares from the cookman to the staff on the drill to the directors? And they all take benefit of that. They trust me. And I have done this a few times before. So it's a combination of things that improve our share price. Like, it's very easy. I send an email 11 p.m. On Saturday, and I get an answer 15 minutes later because people are committed full. This is not my company. This is not shareholders' company. This is company's employees' company as well. They own 10% of the company. So for many, many years, I thought this is the way that we do business, but I executed. And we have people like Franklin, which I have never seen before, and they are backing us up. And 2 Brazilian funds bought about 30% of our finance in the last finance. They put like $20 million. So they know us quite well.
Okay, so it's a kind of it's not a cooperative. Well, it kind of is a cooperative in that sense. People are kind of sharing the upside of their success. Interesting, as well as some of the regular kind of institutional guys and gals there, right? So you're sitting with how much cash at the moment?
About $40 million US.
Right. So no cash constraints or issues there. So let's talk about the asset then, right? Okay. So what do we know today?
Well, what we know, it's a little bit. There is a 50,000 meters drilling done by Vale, about 40,000 meters done by us. We know the deposit quite well, let's say 8 kilometers by 150 meters depth, but you would just announce a hole where we step out and we went to 300 meters and we find this like wonderful results, 54 meters at 3.3 grams per ton and 0.2% nickel, which 30 meters is 5 grams per ton. So Luanda, which we've been promoting, saying that open pit now has the possibility to be extended to underground as well. And this will attract not just the marketing, but the majors, because combined with the PGM, don't forget, we have nickel and we found some copper as well.
Right. So I mean, it's kind of gearing up to be, when I sort of looked at some of the numbers, so as a polymetallic, you have got to work out when you get to mine this thing, or whoever gets to mine this thing and wants to pay for that capex, they've got to work out what type of mine, open pit, underground, as you say, and that's going to be determined on the metallurgy, the recoverables here. So how much work has happened on that so far?
Well, that's another thing unique in our company. Like, since I built 3 mines before, so when I look at a project, I'm not just interested in how big it is, how good in grades that is. I want to see the end. I want to see how this is going to be developed. So I start with 4 metallurgical guys working for me. We have 12 today. And we have like mine engineers. We have mechanic engineers. They are already looking for what we're going to be the layout. We have marketing people to try to execute the sales of this concentrate or eventually produce the metal itself, because this technology is available and is accessible in terms of costing. So basically, like, what I can tell you that definitely have an open pit mine, but with the results that we get, there is no doubt that there is a potential for underground mine, and the limit it's open. Like, we now gonna put holes at 450 meters depth. which I'm encouraged to say that there is a very good opportunity to be positive. And another thing that when we found this massive sulfide, which is kind of Voices Bay, that opens a new thing, like a feeder zone, which normally it's very deep, 500, 600 meters depth. And we find at 130 meters. Why? Because Luanga basically, which was like a deposit like this, is turned like this. So it's vertical. So you basically have the feeder, which used to be like this, you know? So this can be accessible. And imagine this hole that we put out, it's 11 meters at 2% nickel, 1% copper, 5 grams per ton of PGM. This has a value of $1,000 per ton. It's DSO ore, basically, and it's open. It's impossible to say that this just feeder of 11 meters is the source for 8.1 kilometers at 50 meters wide. It's impossible. So there's other feeder zones over there, and there's a potential to find it and mining open pitable and later underground.
So tell me, obviously, with the cash you've got optionality in terms of how you come at this, and also, quite frankly, the way that you drill this out for sale, right? So you got to start with me. What am I buying into here? Am I buying into, and I do this in the context of your track records, right? Is say, do I take this up to a certain point, in which case then I've made it interesting for the big boys. I'm giving them what they want. We may or may not progress the economic studies ourselves. How do you come at it? What's the picture you're trying to paint?
I used to say that how you develop projects is to be mined by you or by somebody else. What I'm trying to bring here is the best skills of people in Brazil, putting the exploration and the development studies and permitting as well, because that's very critical in Brazil, like in a place that I can develop if the market wants, or if there is an offer, like I would not be in the middle between shareholders' creation of value and the company that wants to develop. Like I've done this before. In any of my comments where I sold, the plan is to sell. The plan here is to develop, put the footprint. But I'm a sensible person. Like I'm a businessman. And I know that the opportunities come very often to me. With the Rio Verde, I open an avenue. With the Avanco, I open a highway. And with Luanga, I think I can open even more. And the team that we put together is, I would say, the best of the best.
Okay, and I get that. We're kind of been through the material. You've got a good team there, and so far it's the perfect picture. But these days there are mining's tough. It's hard, there will be the peculiarities of the jurisdiction, which obviously if you're based there, you feel that you're covering. But what are the things that you're saying to your team in your monthly briefings going, right, we need to get focused on this and get this bit right. We can't afford to get that bit wrong, because, last 2 years have been about ESG, but I'm thinking more about your ability technically to do what you need to do to paint that picture. What are the kind of problem areas?
I think the market today is very hard to develop mines. No doubt about that. There is inflation. Steel is very expensive. Energy is very expensive. We have the support, the fact that the 80% of the Brazil energy is clean, is come from hydropower. The costs in Brazil are not very high. The currency helps us some way. The company is solid. You don't see things like Brazil is trying to turn this section in a state controlled. We don't have that. And I think people don't know Brazil quite well. It's an explored project area. And what we are trying to say here to our team is that the project is very good. The people is key to make a project good, something like in a successful mining. And it's up to us working hard and also being 100% transparency. There are going to be concerns. There are going to be probably some walls ahead of us, for sure. But if we have the team together, and that's what I try to bring the spirit here, we're going to cover that. There is no doubt that we have one thing very positive. Vale spent $50 million, and they are a solid company. Everything that they gave to us, we turned it into even better. The technology improved in terms of the assay. And when we drilled it, we found something different that they were not focused. They always thought this would be open pit, 100 meters depth. We know that, and they know today, they have Salobo at 550 meters depth. So we know that we can mine at a 500 meters depth as well. How many mines you have in Brazil? 2 or 3. The underground, as Avanco, Os Minerals, we developed the first underground as well. So this is not a problem. The technology is here. The expertise is here. And it's just...
Okay, so I know you're obviously a Power State, very, very good for mining, lots of long history there. I guess when I'm trying to... Sometimes when you kind of grow quite quickly, you know, some people go, they're kind of getting ahead of themselves. They need to backfill that valuation, or I've missed the opportunity. The value is fully loaded there. I don't know how I make money. What would you say to people looking at your stock price now? Because you've been on quite a run for the last 12 months, 18 months. Is there more to come? Where is it going to come from? What should people value as you progress this project?
I think the value is totally open, and I would be not surprised if we double the price in the next 6 months. We're going to be able to put our first resource probably in 2-3 months. And I can tell you, I'm sleeping very well. I can see the results. I'm a geologist. I know what I got. And another thing, the metallurgical that we have done de-risked totally the project. The recovery that Vale got was very good. They engaged the best people from South Africa and Brazil to do that. We exceed that. We got the South Africans, we got the Australians. And another thing, you have to compare us. There's a company that has the same kind of deposit to us in Perth. They call Chalice. Their market value is $2 billion. And I've been in Perth many times. Brazil is much easier to permit, much easier to build, and cheaper. So the workforce in Brazil for open pit, it's accessible. And with my track records and these team track records, we attract the best suppliers. And people believe in us. And I'm pretty sure that in terms of logistics, we are very, I would say, successful and have an engagement with Vale to use their rail if it's necessary. How many places in the world you see a project of that size with a road crossing their border, with 3 power lines crossing the property? One is basically in the one edge of the strike, and the another is in the other edge of the strikes. Water is not an issue over there. So I'd be honest, I only decide to be CEO with 60 years old because I know that this would be easy, much easier than the ones that I have done before.